whether he'll actually fire the starting gun on a leadership election to try and replace the PM. In his resignation letter, West Streeting said it was now clear that Sir Keir wouldn't lead Labour into the next general election, saying, where we envision we have a vacuum. Black political editor Becca Rigby has been with me in the studio since this news broke at 1 o'clock. News we had been expecting, but as I said there, Beth, West Streeting not going perhaps as far as some people suspected in terms of blatantly saying, I'm challenging you for the top job.
Yeah, look, what's happened over the past few days is there's been increasing calls for Starmer to stand down, to set out the timetable for departure. It began on Friday after the local election results. It was triggered, or rather rocket boosters put under it by Catherine West, the backbench MP over the weekend, who said, this isn't good enough, we need to trigger a leadership race, and then she began to try and collate names. That really did provoke quite a crisis into the beginning of the week. The Prime Minister kind of did a make or break speech to try and implore the party to stay with him. At that point, on Monday afternoon, we began to get the drip of MPs calling for him to resign. We then had ministerial aides begin to resign. Then the following cabinet on Tuesday, we saw the resignation after that of some ministers, and it was really building momentum. And all eyes have been on West Streeting as a would-be challenger and someone on resignation watch. Now, what's happened in the past 24 hours is we had a hiatus in all of this because it was the King's...
The World Cup starts in 4 weeks, is it? The World Cup starts in 4 weeks.
Yeah. In Westminster about whether or not West Streeting had the numbers.
Why do I feel like I've not heard much about it?
The Prime Minister Cabinet said there isn't a process.
That's why I was like confused at what you were saying. I was like,
yeah, we didn't know barely anything about the World Cup.
Contest is triggered, and I'm not really going
I know
to
the Prem's quite
until it has. If you want to see me individually,
competitive right
come
now.
in and see me. And what West Streeting's done,
When the Prem ends, he'll be all anyone's going on about it.
Given the noise around him, but he has not.
Oh, that's sick. So, like, when the Prem ends, mate, it's World Cup anyway.
He is not doing
Because usually you have a massive drought in football, don't you?
Is that a debate about what comes next to be a battle of ideas, not personalities or petty factionism. It needs to be broad, it needs to be the best possible field of candidates. I support that approach. I hope that you will facilitate this. So he's really calling for the Prime Minister to give a timetable of a leadership contest. Now,
allows me to get the ducks in a row.
we know exactly. We know that Ed Miliband, the Energy Secretary, we know that Shabana Mood, the Home Secretary, had privately told the Prime Minister this as well. Look, I imagine that those who are opponents of West Streeting will say he didn't have the numbers. He's had to resign, but he can't trigger the race. Whether that's true or not, his allies are saying he did, but he's chosen not to. I think other people would say, look, he doesn't have the numbers. But what he is doing in this letter is he's trying to open up the process of at least triggering a change of leadership. And in terms of it needs to be broad, the best possible field of candidates, I think that is a nod to Andy Burnham.
We can't see the line there where he's CC'd in.
Yeah, but the great Manchester mayor, who, as Emma was saying, is the runaway favourite amongst party members to succeed Keir Starmer. If there was a leadership race, West Streeting, in terms of the Labour list, which kind of it polls party members, West Streeting wouldn't be Keir Starmer in a race. On that, I mean, it's a small sample. It's a small, but it's a small sample. But what West Streeting is trying to do is force the issue. And as one of his allies said to me earlier in the day, you know, that their view was that MPs were kind of waiting to see how the wind blew, that they weren't sure whether to try and trigger a ballot now or not. And this person said, you know, they are the wind. You know, it's really up to Labour MPs and the cabinet, you know, to press the button on Keir Starmer. But look, for now, Keir Starmer's digging in. We've had at least 6 cabinet ministers that have publicly come out to support him, if not a few more. I haven't kept tabs on it since Tuesday. We've had 2 others, Miliband and Shabana Mahmood, privately, we think, asking him set out timetable, but they publicly haven't gone against against Keir Starmer at all. And Shabana Mahmood, who was on resignation watch for sure, her spokesperson put out a statement yesterday saying she's cracking on with the job. So I guess the question now is what happens next? Does Andy Burnham now announce that he wants to try and...
all this week, have we? He cancelled a local radio thing.
He does a Manchester radio.
Yeah, BBC Manchester.
Not this morning.
No, exactly, which obviously leads you to believe that, you know, he might not have anything to say, and maybe he just didn't want to be asked the questions, or maybe he did want to have something to say, but also didn't want to be in a position where he couldn't be honest.
And not to go too much into the, you know, the minutiae of Labour Party, the rule book, which I'm not that good on anyway, so we've got to keep you for a brush. But look, I mean, part of the challenge for Andy Burnham is he's got to get back into Parliament, and the National Executive Committee, which is basically the governing body of the Labour Party,